Do you ever feel like your personal history is being deleted? Like every aspect of your past life is slowly being eaten away, leaving nothing but fragmented memories that feel less and less real as time goes on? When I cast my mind back to my childhood, the 90s and 2000s, something feels off. It's almost as if I existed in an entirely different reality back then. It's hard to describe, but when I look around at what the world has become, I almost feel like I exist outside of it. Like the world I grew up in was a parallel universe, and the more I reflect, the more I realise that it isn't just nostalgia, it's something deeper, something almost eerie. It's not just that things have changed that makes me feel weird, it's the way they disappear entirely, as if they never existed. This hit me hard a few months ago when I drove past a community centre I used to go to as a teenager. I had a pretty rough childhood, and not a lot brings me happy memories from that time, but this place did. I remember going there once a week on a Friday night with my friends, playing football, ping pong, and just having fun. It was one of the few places where I felt free, where I could laugh, joke around, and for a few hours forget about my troubles at home. I hadn't been past it in years, and as I drove by I had to double take, because the community centre I once loved was no longer there. It was just gone. In its place stood a soulless, generic modern housing complex, cold and impersonal. When I got home I felt strange. Not just sad, but displaced. Like, in one fell swoop, a piece of my childhood had just been erased, and there was no trace left to prove it had ever been there. And then it really hit me. It wasn't just a community centre, it was damn near everything. The first school I went to as a child, demolished. The school I attended in my teenage years, completely rebuilt and unrecognisable. The play park where I hung out with my friends after school, now just an empty field, barren and lifeless. The large cinema I went on my first ever date as a teenager, replaced by yet another block of apartments. The shopping mall, where I bought my first ever Pokemon cards. The place where I excitedly picked out my first music CD. That too had been torn down, replaced by a complex of offices and retail spaces that lacked any sense of character. It wasn't just the mall though. Nearly half of the stores I visited as a kid no longer existed. Toys R Us, gone. Blockbuster, gone. Tower Records, Virgin Megastore, gone. Woolworths.
3 for 2, mix and match on thousands of toys and gifts at Woolworths.
JJB Sports, Index, all of them gone, and many more than that. Places I once took for granted. Places I thought would always be around now only exist in distant memories. The arcade and bowling alley where I spent countless weekends playing games and hanging out with friends is now a gym. A place of no personality, no soul. No echoes of the laughter and excitement that once filled it. Nearly all of the nightclubs and bars I spent my adult years in, the ones where I made good memories, have been shut down, replaced by offices, coffee shops, or even worse, left abandoned to rot away to dust. Even the McDonalds I worked at part-time when I was 16, the job that gave me my first real taste of responsibility and independence, is now a hair salon. The exact spot where I stood flipping burgers and having a laugh with friends I met there is now filled with mirrors and salon chairs, occupied by people who half of which have no idea what once stood there. Have no idea of the thousands of people that visited that very spot, the thousands of children that had a happy meal or a birthday party there. It's just a weird feeling, man. And it makes you wonder, will there come a time when every trace of our past has been wiped away? When the places, the experiences, the things that made us who we are only exist in our minds? And in hundreds of years, what will be left of the world we grew up in? Sometimes I think about the kids of today. They'll never know what it was like to browse the aisles of Blockbuster on a Friday night, carefully picking out that perfect movie. They'll never experience the excitement of walking into a toy store filled to the ceiling with shelves of action figures, board games and video games. They'll never get the thrill of hearing a song in a record store, asking the staff about it, and leaving with a physical CD in your hand. Their world is different, it's digital, distant and fleeting. And maybe that's just the way things go. Maybe every generation feels a sense of loss as they watch the world they knew disappear. But this feels different. It feels like the past isn't just fading away naturally, it's actively being erased, rewritten into something colder, more uniform and disconnected. And that's what scares me the most. Because if the places, the experiences and the things that defined us are erased, what's left to prove that they even existed at all? Perhaps this is why so many of us cling to nostalgia so fiercely. It's not just about remembering the past, it's about preserving it, keeping it alive in whatever way we can. Maybe that's why retro video games and vintage collectibles feel so precious to me. They're physical proof that our past was real, that it mattered. I don't know if there's a way to stop this cycle, to hold on to a world we knew before it completely vanishes, but I do know that as long as we remember it, talk about it and share our stories, it won't be completely lost. Maybe that's the best we can do, carry the past with us and make sure it's never truly forgotten.